Good afternoon. Welcome to Channel 8 Sports and East Brunswick High School football. Hi, I'm John Meggiolaro, being joined by Jim Allinder and Phil Hill for today's East Brunswick-Monroe football game. And Phil, let's start with East Brunswick. Tough loss last week against Madison Central, but I think it may be a turning point for this team.
I think you're right. A very tough loss with the Bears. It's a game that they could have or should have won. And I'll tell you, Madison Central was scared. I was there at the game. They were playing safe. East Brunswick once again played a very spirited game. But if there's ever been a game where you had a loss that can do a lot for you, that Madison Central game was it. When you consider that the Bears have played Piscataway,
right,
Edison, and Madison Central, those teams have a combined loss of one game, then it tells you the caliber of people they've been playing. And I think you're going to see the difference in them playing Monroe today.
Phil, do you expect them to come up and do anything differently, or just continue to work that E-bone and get it in gear?
I think they're going to work the E-bone, get it in gear, but I think they're going to be playing a little bit more confident. Greg Kohlheim has 3 games under his belt right now, and I think you may even see them try to do a few different things. It is homecoming. They're going to try to make it exciting for the crowd, and I expect a fun game.
All right, Jimmy, we look at Monroe. They're on tough times this year.
Well, it's been a tough stretch for the Falcons. Quite frankly, in a game such as this, we are looking at a different level of football. East Brunswick coming from the larger school, Group 4, and
right,
even though the Bears have not had a win this year, what better way to get into the win column against lowly Monroe? And I use the word lowly only because they don't have the numbers, they don't have the size, and they certainly don't have the experience, starting with the quarterback,
right,
I believe it's number 10, Jason White, a freshman. Now, Jason comes from a rather successful Pop Warner program. Just last year, they won the Central Jersey Championships, the Wolverines, and they do put a lot of players into the high school ranks, be it Bishop Bar or Monroe. But they do have a good super back in Kamishi Jackson, very flashy. You're going to see him, number 44, get the ball a lot. Right. But after that, the experience and the talent sort of tails off. And I have a suspicion, not a suspicion, I think it's almost, as Phil says, against this East Brunswick team, they're going to be overmatched, oversized, and East Brunswick should come away with a victory today.
All right, it's a beautiful Saturday afternoon here at East Brunswick High School. We ask that you stay with us, and we'll be back with the kickoff in just a moment. All right, we're about ready to kick this game off. East Brunswick in the home green jerseys and pants will be on the receiving end. Monroe in the visitors' white, purple pants will be doing the kicking. And Jimmy, you can see without a doubt as you look across the field the size difference between the two and number difference as well.
Absolutely, and I also notice a lot of sophomores and a few freshmen on this team. So what you see from Monroe over there is essentially what's on the entire football roster for them.
Kohlheim and Shanafi back deep for the Bears. Kick is low. Kohlheim will field it at the 5-yard line. He's got some running room up the middle. And we'll get across the 25 to the 26, and that's where East Brunswick will start their offensive series.
Okay, and he's brought down by Boleslaw Jaskowitz, number 71. And John, as I talked about at the top of the game, I think you're going to see a lot more comfortable East Brunswick team. They have 3 games under the belt. They played Madison Central well, and I think they're chomping at the bit to come out and take it to the Falcons. We'll see.
Kohlheim especially, Phil, he looked very, very comfortable running the E-bone last week.
Hurston 10 from the 26, Kohlheim on a keeper and gets nowhere.
And he snowed under, John, 3 or 4 Falcon tacklers, and they have some size up front. We're under the mistaken notion that East Brunswick would be bigger than Monroe. Not so. Monroe is a lot bigger on the line than the Bears are.
A couple of them are anyway.
Loss of a yard. It'll bring up 2nd and 11. The ball now at the East Brunswick 25. Just underway here from J. Doyle Stadium. Beautiful Saturday fall afternoon. Kohlheim from that E-bone formation. Keeps, looks over the middle, has the pass knocked down.
I'll tell you. And that's the way to play it. Good defensive pressure there. Number 85, Dean Cernakis putting his hands up, knocking the ball down.
Looking for Tangway, number 1.
Well, as you see, that East Brunswick line does look a little on the small side. Of course, Tom Ruja, number 58, is not that big. He's 5'10". You see David Hagan in there. He's 5'10 as well. Sean Daly, 5'11. And then Alan Wells coming in is 5'10. So they're not tall.
3rd and 11 from the 25.
Jeremy Fisher as well, 6 foot.
Motion. Kolheim keeps the rolls left, has a man open downfield. He's got him. Still on his feet is number 87, Fugaro, and he moves into Monroe territory with the first down.
And I tell you got to like the young man. He gave the would-be tackler a shoulder, rolled off him, and picked up 3 extra yards.
Keith Fugaro, one of a number of receivers East Brunswick utilizing this year. Jay Tangway, and here we go again, Tim Ajikabotosho, I think I got that right, are 2 of the other feature receivers for the Bears.
Ball now at the Monroe 43, 1st and 10 East Brunswick. They move into Monroe territory. No score. Inside handoff. Shanafi is going to be wrestled down. He'll pick up 2.
Phil, I don't know if you can agree with me on this, but I thought Kolheim was so comfortable on the rollout pass game last week. You wonder why they don't do more of that, more of that against Monroe.
Well, I think you probably see more. He's gotten a lot more comfortable. Before I accused him of just throwing the ball. Now he's become a passer. Very comfortable on that rollout.
Kolheim puts 2 receivers to the right. 2nd and 8. Single set in the backfield. Kolheim looks to his right, has a man, Tangway, and over his head.
Well, he was open, Tangway was. The ball was just thrown a little too deep on the sideline, but watch for East Brunswick to do a lot more of that this afternoon.
And Tangway slowly but surely becoming the #1 receiver there, 5'10", 159-pound junior, and he has been the main receiver for this Bear team this year.
We mentioned today is homecoming. Crowds still coming in.
And it's a rather unusually hot day for this time of year, and I wonder if that's going to be a factor in the second half.
3rd and 8 for the Bears from Monroe's 41. Kolheim, a little counter inside. And that's Matt Kwan with the carry, a fumble, but they're going to say he was down.
I can imagine East Brunswick, well, I don't know, they'll probably kick on this.
Matt Kwan with a little extra spin there, trying to pick up extra yards. Did drop the ball, but was called down.
Well, you have to establish a running game, first of all, before you're going to have any success with the passing game. And probably the reason why East Brunswick elected to go on that slash that didn't find anything.
Fugaro will punt. 4th down for the Bears. Monroe late getting someone back. Good kick. And fielded on the 7-yard line by Denon. Jason Denon picked it up.
And I'll tell you, if you're Keith Hudak, you can't feel too comfortable. You got your would-be receiver back there jogging slowly out to the field just to get there about time the ball's being kicked. Just doesn't give you a good feeling.
Jason Denon, number 33, is 5'11", 190, and he lives about 4 houses from me. And I never knew he could grow that fast.
All right, we talked about Jason White in at quarterback. Last year playing in Pop Warner, this year playing the varsity for Monroe. I formation in the backfield. White gives it off to number 25, that's Stasalis.
That would be a Stasalis.
Stasalis picks up 3, 2nd and 7 now. Ball resting at the Monroe 16-yard line.
I think they're doing a number game with us there, John.
Okay.
I thought that might have been Jackson.
I thought so, too.
So you're saying Jackson's number 25?
We're going to find that out. As a matter of fact, I'm going to find out if number 33 is indeed Jason Denon.
Man in motion. This is number 25 again. We'll say it's Jackson.
It is Jackson.
And Jackson crosses the 20 to about the 21. He'll be short of the first down.
And what we're dealing with, John, is probably that old nemesis, the home jersey versus the away jersey. The listing of numbers that we have here are totally different from the listing we got out on the field, so we'll try to work it out.
All right, Jackson's number 25. We know White is number 10. From there, it's anyone's guess. 3rd and about 1. Ball sitting at the Monroe 22-yard line. First offensive series for Monroe. Inside handoff, they've got the first down, and that's Clayton, Hashim Clayton, number 32.
Phil, I have to say the line surge by Monroe has been dominant thus far.
Line surge was good, but I tell you, if the East Brunswick player wraps there, they stop him for a loss. He didn't wrap, and as a result, the young man picked up the first down.
Falcons are 0-3, as are the Bears, coming into this game. But as Phil pointed out, East Brunswick playing 3 tough games and really playing against 3 undefeated opponents. First and 10 for the Falcons. Ball resting on their own 25-yard line. No score, first quarter action. Clayton one more time.
That was a good hit. Ruja was the one that was in on that.
Pickup of, let's say 1. It'll bring up second down.
Second down and 8 from the 27.
Jimmy, we were just talking before the game about some of the games played last night, Friday night.
That's correct. The soccer teams, both the boys and the girls, defeating Westfield. And those are the boys and the girls for Westfield are major powers in the state. So it could be a continuation of things for East Brunswick's girls.
White from the shotgun, feeling some pressure, gets it off to Jackson, and it's now a foot race. I'm sorry, that's Clayton.
And he's a horse.
Clayton is a horse, 6 foot, 215 pounds.
Wow.
Just a junior, too.
Hashim Clayton.
Should mention that Monroe is a regional district and Jamesburg is ascending district. So a lot of the kids are a mixture of Monroe and Jamesburg.
Well, they pick up a first down, and more importantly, they move into East Brunswick territory. 5:43 showing on the clock, first quarter action. First and 10 for the Falcons on the East Brunswick 43. White's got Clayton and Jackson in the backfield in an I formation. Now moves his tight end over to the left. This is Jackson. And Jackson picks up close to 5.
That was, again, a nice surge by Monroe. And I'll tell you what, you don't want to give a team who is a decided underdog any light. And East Brunswick's giving a little bit right now.
You're right. Sean Daly making an initial tackle right there. And Sean's going to be a big factor in this game, coming up, sealing off those runs.
And you see Paul Dumas, number 50, at one linebacker calling plays.
Second and 5, ball resting at the East Brunswick 37. Falcons with a good march here. They stay in that I formation, put a man in motion. White gives it to Clayton, and Clayton carries for about 2 more yards.
Indeed, he did carry, because he had about 3 tacklers on him.
And Phil, nothing wrong with those running backs behind White.
They got 2 good running backs. They got some speed and some power back there, and if they can get them a little room in the open field, as we've seen, they can go.
Brings up 3rd and 3. Ball just shy of the East Brunswick 35-yard line. They put a man in the slot right. They stay in the I formation in the backfield. Man in motion to the left. White calling signals. He gives it to Jackson. Jackson cuts upfield, drops the ball. East Brunswick's got it.
And that ball was literally taken out of the hands of Jackson.
And that's Paul Dumas coming up with a big fumble recovery right there.
Didn't catch who was the one that stripped Jackson of the ball, but that's a good turnover for East Brunswick. Monroe is moving the ball.
So the Bears on the turnover will have it. Their second offensive series. No score. 4:15 remaining, first quarter. Phil, you know Keith Hudak's name quite well, coming from South River.
Keith Hudak, one of the all-time South River greats at quarterback, and I'm going to talk a little bit about him a little bit later.
All right, Colheim brings him out. 2 receivers to the right. He'll roll right, looks, gets it out to Tanquay at the 40.
Now I see a late flag into the line, and I suppose that East Brunswick is going to be called for holding on this. That's usually what the play is.
The completion was good to the East Brunswick 42-yard line.
Phil, you wonder why a flag would...
It is holding against East Brunswick.
The need for holding on the opposite side of the field.
Opposite side of the field. That's what gives coaches gray hairs. You got Colheim rolling out to the right. No pressure on him there, and the flag is thrown to the other side.
Well, I'll tell you what, on that last play, Monroe's deep backs were not playing deep at all.
So with the penalty, it'll move back East Brunswick. It'll make it a 1st and 20. Ball resting at their own 34.
I think they're gonna put this spot at the flag. Let's see where this is. This ball ends up. Okay, it is 1st and 20.
Tanquay comes wide right. E-bone formation behind Kolheim. Kolheim keeps it. He's got some running room. Gets to the outside, sidesteps Jackson, and he's got the 1st down at midfield.
Good move.
A fine move, and we talked about it. Greg is just getting more comfortable with each game, and there's an example of it there. Just in total control, made the right read there, kept the ball, and picked up good yardage.
And against the short side of the field, Phil. Bears will pick up a 1st down. Stops the clock with 3:23 remaining, 1st quarter. We have no score. East Brunswick Monroe on a beautiful Saturday afternoon at East Brunswick High School. Kolheim overlooking the defense. Shanafy, he'll pick up maybe 1 as he rolls forward.
And there's that Boleslaw Jaskowitz.
Jaskowitz and
Mike him again.
And Mike Waters also 5'10", 230 pounds. In and along with Jaskowitz, who's 6'2", 225 pounds.
And a junior, so he looks like a good one.
Pickup of 2 makes it 2nd and 8. Ball at the Monroe 49.
And you got to wonder if they're going to try to hit Tim.
I'll give a toe shot.
Very good, Jim, on a fly here.
We're going to have to.
He's to the right.
How about a Timmy A? In
Kolheim on the keeper, pitches back, and it's ball's loose. That's Monroe's ball.
And that's Jackson, the one who picks it up.
Jackson comes up with the fumble recovery, and now a turnover by East Brunswick.
Well, official marks it at the 44, so it is a turnover, but apparently that ball could not be advanced.
I tell you,
that was a bad play for East Brunswick.
It hurts the Bears, clearly just about to pick up some momentum, and giving right back to Monroe. And while Monroe may not be that solid a team, they are explosive. They do have the type of personnel that can break a big play.
Well, Phil, something I noticed on the change of possession as Monroe's defense went to offense, I only saw 2 replacements. So a lot of these guys are going both ways.
Really.
Inside handoff. Carried by Hudlow, I believe.
And on this warm afternoon,
and
it's got to be over 80 degrees.
Young man by the name of Jason Greco, 5'7", 157-pound senior, who's been playing a lot of ball lately. Had a fine game against Madison Central, coming up to make the tackle.
Pickup of 2, 2nd and 8 from the East Brunswick 47. Two receivers to the left now for the Falcons. They stay in that I formation as White fakes it to Jackson, looks deep. He's got a man.
Oh.
It's caught.
Reception caught by number 85. That's Dean Sarinikis.
And if Jason Whalen's not there,
Sarinikis
Rich
would go all the
Whalen's
way.
not there, he's gone.
Big play for Monroe, brings the ball to the East Brunswick 13-yard line. 1st and 10.
And for Jason White, you got to like the young man. For a freshman, as you pointed out, a year removed from Pop Warner, showing some great poise right there.
Well, he comes from a winning program. He's known nothing but winning. That team for the last 3-4 years has won nothing but championships. So there's something to be said with that winning experience.
Here's Jackson, slashes his way, tries to get down to the 10, but he'll be short.
And the middle of that East Brunswick line slams him back.
So it'll bring up a 2nd down for Monroe.
I'll tell you what, Jason really sprouted in the last year or so. To be 5'11" and a freshman, you know that he's only 155, but you know the weight's going to come on him. In a couple of years, he's going to be a fine quarterback.
Well, he's in there because Mookie Scamardella, who was the original quarterback in the first game against Colonia, Jim, fractured his #1 vertebrae, and of course he's out for the year. And like Kolheim, Jason White's thrown into the fire.
Pickup of 2 on that last play, so it's 2nd and 8. Ball on the East Brunswick 11-yard line. White pitches to Jackson. He's got the left side. He cuts upfield.
Boy, he turned it up
inside
nice.
the 10, close to the 5.
He turned it up nice. I thought he was going to skirt the outside, but he decided to make that cut, and he turned on the speed, and he gets it all the way down to the 2-yard line.
He's a fine runner. Scored 6 touchdowns last year. Has the ability to bust a big one, but more importantly, even on the short yardage there, he picks the holes very nicely.
That's a first down for Monroe as the clock will tick down, and that'll be it for the first quarter here at East Brunswick High School. No score, Bears and Monroe. But Monroe's threatening to score. Ball will be on about the 1-foot line.
Phil, I don't know. I was reading the papers this week, and a lot of them were extolling the closeness of that Madison Central game, and how East Brunswick was in a wonderful position of winning that game against admittedly a fine Spartan team. Do you think maybe they're just relaxing a little bit too much?
Well, I don't know if they can afford to relax too much. Both teams should have come in here hungry, Jim. The name of the game is hunger, and East Brunswick, I think, wanted to come in and not just win this game, but just do a job on them. And as I said before, Monroe's a hungry team as well. Both teams looking for the first win.
Well, it'll be up to the East Brunswick defense because Monroe will have it 1st and 10 from the 1. Or 1st and goal. There's no 10 to go.
A couple of important GMC Red Division games last night. Actually, in an inter-division conference game, Piscataway knocked off Bishop R. Both teams were undefeated coming into that game. 9-7 was the score. Woodbridge stampled Perth Amboy. I think the score was 40-12 in that game. And then finally, Saraville, which is starting to look mighty, mighty tough, handled South Brunswick. I think the score was 42-14 in that game. So you've got an upper echelon of Woodbridge, Edison, Piscataway, and Saraville that clearly look to be the top 4 teams in that red division.
Well, I'm thinking you got to see if Saraville's really that tough. I don't think they've played anybody.
That is true.
Well, we're going to see how tough the East Brunswick defense is as Monroe has it, 1st and goal. And Clayton drops the ball.
Oh, wow. It looked like
he fumbles it, and it's East Brunswick's ball.
Right, that handoff never connected. And the official is signaling
One official said East Brunswick.
Let's see what we got here. Nope, they're signaling 2nd down.
2nd down.
Wow.
And a timeout by Monroe.
I'll tell you.
How do you figure that one?
And I'll tell you, as you see Keith Hudak walking out on the field there, he's got to be holding his breath a little disgusted there. You almost thought they were in.
Clayton had it, fumbled the ball, and the official first signaled East Brunswick.
And Borden is halfway on the field, yelling to the officials, wanting to know what the situation was. It clearly looked like East Brunswick had recovered that ball.
Well, I'll tell you, as you look at the Monroe huddle there, Keith Hudak and Jim, you mentioned it before, he was a South River great, went on to Rutgers University where he was a quarterback. And Keith, I tell you, probably was the quarterback of one of the most talented high school teams.
Yeah.
Terrific team. I remember that team.
You had a kid by the name of Roger Jackson who was MVP, I think, in the Sugar Bowl, went on to Penn State fame. Of course, his brother, Kenny Jackson, an All-American, also went on to play with Philadelphia Eagles and Houston Oilers.
A fellow by the name of Troy Hill.
Kid by the name of Troy Hill, captain of Pittsburgh University team. Then they had a kid that went to Montclair, Baniszewski. He was a little All-American there.
Him.
So they had a lot of talent on that team that Keith quarterbacked. A lot of people talk about the Theismann-led team, but there are some people believe that there was just as much talent or more so on that team that Keith Hudak quarterbacked.
Well, when you look at Keith now, he's carrying a few extra pounds with him that he didn't have in those days.
Always a nice guy.
Yeah.
So a big break for the Falcons here.
2nd and goal as the Falcons recover their own fumble. They stay in that eye. This is Clayton. Clayton busts his way in for the first score of the afternoon.
And that he did, bust his way. He really did. He had a little bit of a hole, and he sort of slid his way, but look, 69 is still down for East Brunswick. I wonder if he was the recipient of that hit.
Well, Phil mentioned he's a horse at 215 pounds.
Hashim Clayton. And they haven't had that many opportunities to score this year, so they got to be elated.
The extra point attempt now for Monroe. as they get on the board first.
Looks like the kicker Papero is the one that's going to do the extra point here.
Snap is down, kick is up and good, and so the Falcons go on top 7-0 with 11:36 remaining in the second quarter.
So turnovers are the thing that haunt East Brunswick. This poor pitch by Kohlheim gave the Falcons possession on the 44-yard line, and then that one long pass, I believe it was to number 85,
Right.
Cyrenakis.
Right.
And then Jackson with that fine slashing run all the way down to the 2 set Monroe up for their first touchdown of the afternoon.
And I tell you, it appears that offensively, I mean, it appears that the Bears can exploit the defensive backfield of Monroe on the rollout passes.
Right.
The short rollout passes and whatnot, and
Phil,
do what they want.
What concerns me is that Monroe seems to be able to move the ball in East Brunswick, and they're going to have to make some adjustments.
Well, I think it's fair to say East Brunswick's a little flat on offense.
Well, they're coming off a big game that was a loss. We don't like to talk about moral victories, but you had to be there, John. Madison Central was trembling. I mean, the Bears played that good of a game. Again, it's a loss that you come out feeling not so bad about yourself. I don't know that you can feel good about yourself with any loss, but they didn't feel too badly about themselves. They found out something about themselves. I thought we'd come out and see a different team, and perhaps we will before the game's over.
All right, Monroe ready to kick it off. Ball on the ground. It's off an East Brunswick player.
That's live.
And quickly, Quan goes down with it at the 35-yard line.
Matt electing not to run with the ball, which probably was a good decision in retrospect. They have good field position. Quan doesn't have a lot of experience, and with those guys rushing down like that, fumbles occur very frequently.
Well, Quan's a sophomore and did the correct thing.
So the Bears will have it 1st and 10 from their own 34-yard line. 11:20 remaining before half. East Brunswick trailing 7-0.
And again, you see a lot of the faces on Monroe's offense playing defense.
And that's going to take its toll in this weather.
Kohlheim drops straight back, looks, fires deep downfield, looking for Tanquay. Pass was there, but Tanquay just couldn't catch up to it.
And Papero was with him. He really was.
I'll tell you, Greg Kohlheim got nailed at that as well.
So it'll bring up 2nd and 10. East Brunswick comes out in the E-bone formation. Now they'll split their backs. Single setback behind Kohlheim. And Kohlheim runs into the running back. I believe that was Shanafi.
And they're just a little out of sync right there. You're right, John. Kohlheim went to hand the ball off, and they clashed there, thereby slowing up the runner.
I go back to the beginning of the season when talking to Marcus Borden. His objectives were just to get Greg Kohlheim comfortable with running the offense. I think we can't lose sight of the fact that Greg is still 4 games into the season, relatively new to this position, and you saw it right there.
And here may be the best play that.
3rd and 9 from their own 36. East Brunswick sputtering here so far. Kohlheim fakes the reverse, rolls to his left, looking for someone. He's got some running room. He's got the first down. So Kohlheim does it himself as he gets close to midfield.
And I tell you, when Greg rolls out, things happen. Monroe can't possibly cover everything. They send Ati Patosho deep, drag someone underneath. They're trying to cover those 2 receivers. Greg rolled out, decided to keep him himself, and picked up good yards.
That's precisely right, Phil. The East Brunswick offense looks much better when Kohlheim has a lot of field to work with, and he has a lot of vision. And they spread him out pretty nicely there.
1st and 10 for East Brunswick. Ball spotted on the Falcons 47. East Brunswick trailing 7-0. Pick up a big first down on this drive. 2 men in motion. That's going to bring it back. Quan with the carry.
And I tell you, that hurts. We have a few spotters up here. I think Coach Toto and Sulfakonich, and and you can hear some words there. 2 guys going in motion at the same time. And the play looked like they was going to pick up some good yardage there.
So that'll move East Brunswick back.
So mistakes still plague the Bears offense.
Clock showing 9:35 remaining in the second quarter.
And you got a lot of young players in there again. And when you have young players, that's the kind of thing that's going to happen.
So with the penalty, it'll make it 1st and 15. Ball back on the East Brunswick side of midfield. Ball resting at the 43. See what Kohlheim brings out. He'll roll to his right. Looking downfield.
Tangway's open.
Tangway's open. Ball's up in the air.
Yes.
And out of the hands of Tangway. Ball thrown on the other side of where Jade was looking.
I'll tell you, a fine throw by Kohlheim.
Well, Phil, you say it was a fine throw.
You thought it could have been deeper?
Well, I think it could have been thrown with a little bit more velocity. It seems like the defensive player had a little bit time to adjust on that, and probably why it caused a little bit of a problem there at the tail end. But we've seen Kohlheim really with a lot of arm strength and throw that ball like a rocket if he wants to. It may mean that some of the pass routes have to be a little bit more crisp.
2nd and 15 now for East Brunswick. Quan in motion, fake by Kohlheim. He goes back for a little screen, throws it to a lineman.
Well, Kohlheim thought that 72, who
He saw a
is
green jersey
Jeremy
and threw it.
Fisher, was number 20, and that is Matt Quan.
Phil, let me ask you a question. Why would you throw a screen to the short side of the field?
The element of surprise always, John. They had enough blockers out there if you look. They had an awful lot of blockers out there. They just didn't get the ball to the right person.
Especially number 72. Jeffrey Fisher.
Okay, big down here for the Bears. I mean,
3rd and 15 now. Kohlheim on his last 3rd down was able to pick up the first by running. He'll step up. He's got a man open.
And that's the type of pass
and
that you
it's
want
caught
to see.
by Tangway.
And right at the
Nice
first yard
completion.
marker.
Right, and that one was thrown on a line.
I'll tell you, that's beautiful.
Very nice pass.
Right at the first line marker. Now, you couldn't ask for anything better.
And a nice reception there by Figaro. So that was an important first down for the Bears. They needed to keep this drive alive. They got to draw even with Monroe. Can't let the Falcons think that they have a chance in this game.
So East Brunswick comes up with 2 big 3rd down plays in this drive to keep it alive. It'll be 1st and 10 on the Falcons' 42-yard line. Now that screen to this side might work. Shanaffy really nowhere to go, and they're bottling up the running game.
And that's all right. That's just to keep them safe, John. They got to go back to that interior part of the line there to keep things available for the outside. If you break something there, fine. If not, they got to respect it.
And a long 9 from the 41-yard line.
Pickup of 1. Let's call it 2nd and 9. Ball on the Falcons' 41. Clock showing 7:50 remaining before halftime. Falcons are on top 7-0. Kohlheim waiting for his offense to get set. Keeps it. Steps up. Still on his feet. And he's close to the first down. Let's see where they spot it.
Carrying that ball in one hand, just a little gingerly. You got to watch that.
And I think they're gonna say first down, East Brunswick.
So the drive is alive.
And I'll tell you what's happening is exactly what Keith Hudak did not want to happen. I asked him, what did he have to do to beat this Bear team? He says, keep the ball out of their hands. We want to control the ball. We don't want them to have the ball. As long as we have it, they can't score. Right now, the Bears have put together a very nice drive.
Well, the officials are reserving judgment on this first down, I think. Let's see what they're doing here. Maybe they are going to ask for a measurement. Official just a little quick on that one.
Yeah. Was the head official at that.
Seems to have it by just a fraction.
That's those razor sharp eyes that made Phil a whole area receiver.
And he's short.
Oh, mercy.
Okay.
That's why Phil's up here and, with the binoculars.
It'll be 2nd and 2 inches.
Admittedly, it was inches, Phil.
Well, I tell you, it was twice today that we've had calls where one official sort of indicates that something's happening, and they're overruled.
So the Bears will have it 2nd and inches.
And they could play with this down if they'd like.
Ball on the Falcon 32-yard line. 7:25 remaining 2nd quarter. And now we'll get everything set.
And 2 inches.
Kohlheim looks over the middle for Tangway. He's got it. First down and more. He's still on his feet.
Great
tackle.
breakaway tackle.
Oh, mercy.
And
They ought to give it to him.
they're saying, no, he's short.
Oh, they ought to give it to him. That was a great break of enough tackle. Wow.
Tangway breaks 2 tackles and comes up just inches short of the goal line.
Hey, was Tangway a pitcher of desire on that one?
I tell you, and that's exactly it, Jim. Nothing but heart there. We talked about him a little bit earlier in the game. He's become the primary receiver for this Bear team here and showed a lot of hearts and guts there. And I'm with you, Jim. I thought he fell over the line. The official should have gave it to him.
And we did mention that the East Brunswick offense had an opportunity to play with that down, and they certainly did.
1st and goal, inches away. East Brunswick could come in within 1 point.
I think he's in there.
And I'm not sure who carried it, but they burrowed their way in.
Well, it wasn't Tangway, but he's coming off the field rather jubilant. He knows that he was a key person.
Shanafi with the carry.
Okay.
Key person in that drive. Number 1, Jade Tangway, and of course Shanafi has been a feature back for the Bears this season. And he notches the touchdown.
Now to tie it up.
Dan McGowan's back to kick the extra point.
Ball set, McGowan gets a foot in. Is it good? No, it's wide right, and East Brunswick will be kicking off down a point, 7-6.
Okay, a little juggling on the ball there, which caused that kick to go a little awry.
And we'll see if that turns out to be an important point in this game. I honestly think that East Brunswick just needed that touchdown to get itself righted. And you're going to see a rather spirited defense this time around.
So with 6:36 remaining in the 2nd quarter, East Brunswick trailing now 7-6, but they do get on the board. And Coach Hudak out with his receiving team.
And, you know, I'm looking at the statistics coming into this game. You know, Kohlheim was by far the leading rusher. 55 attempts. And let's just say all the rest add up to 75. So Kohlheim, being the feature back as the quarterback in the wishbone, was the one that was carrying a lot of the plays.
Well, he certainly made 3 or 4 key plays in this drive to keep it alive and get East Brunswick on the board. Now we'll see if Monroe can respond. McGowan to kick it off. Good kick. This will be Jackson. That's who they want to field. He drops it. A reverse, dropped again.
Wow. Shaky, shaky, shaky.
And one of the Jacksons, Halame Jackson, dropped it and fell on it, number 2, and he's still hurt. May have fallen on the ball itself.
I think you may be right.
You know, that was only East Brunswick's 2nd touchdown of the year, I believe. 3rd touchdown, maybe. They have one against Edison.
Madison.
One against Madison, and this is their 3rd touchdown of the year.
Number 36, Spence for the Falcons.
Phil's got his thinking cap on. He's
Wow,
wondering.
trying to check out the player out there on
Yeah.
the field. It appeared that I thought like John, perhaps he fell on the ball, but
Apparently not.
looks like it could be a lot more serious.
Now, if this is Halim Jackson, he is a freshman. 5'8", 150 pounds.
And there's a ton of Jackson brothers at Monroe.
Yes, there
nice
are.
to understand.
Halim was the most recent to play on that Pop Warner team. And then there's another one by the name of Yazi, who is all, I think, about 10 years old.
Well, a feeder system in Monroe.
All All right, so Jackson is still down, rolling him over.
And a byproduct of the game there as you look at the young man, but it just seems this year we've had more serious injuries in games. Edison, Perth Amboy, a number of teams losing people for the year. And yet when you look at football itself, as far as injuries per 1,000, they're far below a lot of other sports.
I think it's important to make that point out, Phil. I think football gets a bad rap for the number of serious injuries that occur during a game, during the course of the season, and we can point to most any other sport.
Well, obviously this is more serious than we thought. Both teams are going to the sidelines to get some refreshments as they continue to look at Helene Jackson.
And I see Athletic Director Hugh Walsh, the one on the far left. Huey Walsh, we know that name, Phil?
We know that name well. Huey Walsh, former South River coach, and Huey Walsh has probably seen more than his share of injuries for this year, having lost his son Ed Walsh, quarterback for Trenton State, out with an injury again, and his senior year, and he won't be finishing out the season. So
right.
Injuries are something Huey Walsh certainly is familiar with.
Right. When you say again, you're absolutely right. Ed was an all-state quarterback
right.
for Madison Central during the 1988 season. They went 11-0 and were clearly one of the best teams in New Jersey that year. Ed had a commission to the U.S. Military Academy. West
right.
Point was during the summer plebe training class when it was discovered that he had a kidney ailment, which they assured him that he wouldn't be able to play football that year. I believe the decision was made for Ed to transfer to Kansas University. Am I right, Phil? I think he went to Kansas, spent 1 year there, and then transferred to Trenton State, where
right.
he currently is. One of the fine athletes in Central Jersey.
Well, a fine athlete and a fine young man. Just injuries have been a devastating part of his career. And for Monroe, if you're Monroe Township, this is the second time, certainly this year. We mentioned their quarterback, Mookie Scarmadella, who was out for the year, and they cleared the field to take him off against Colonia. So,
See Phil Hostler out there, the trainer, and we should always point out that at every game, the East Brunswick Rescue Squad is on site, and in fact, they are by the scoreboard.
Well, I'll tell you what, the fact that they were able to lift him up onto that cart must mean that the injury is not of a nature where they have to immobilize a bone or something along those lines. So that's somewhat optimistic. And Jackson is being taken off.
All right, as we get ready to get back to action, there's 6:28 remaining in the second quarter. East Brunswick trailing Monroe 7-6. Monroe has the ball, 1st and 10 from their own 19-yard line.
Ball will be put in play, 1st and 10 at the 18-yard line.
So the East Brunswick defense will be asked to step it up a bit here.
A welcome break for Monroe, I'm sure. Jackson,
there it is.
He's nowhere to go that
and I'll tell
time.
you, just fine defensive play by the East Brunswick line.
And we saw Lenny May, number 88, one of the linebackers in on that tackle.
You got Lenny May.
Number 70, Ken Molinas, is coming off the field, holding his, looks like his chest, either the wind knocked out him or what.
And Marcus is giving a few of his players a break. Colheim hasn't been back there defensively,
right.
So give him a breather here to have him ready for offense.
And sophomore Dan McGowan is in there.
No gain on the last play, so it remains 2nd and 10. White gives it to Clayton, and Clayton will roll for about 2.
And Monroe bogging down now.
And again, that right side of the line, they're certainly doing the job.
So if there is a key play in this early juncture of the game, this would be it right here. East Brunswick would definitely like to stop Monroe. There's still plenty of time, John.
3rd and 7, ball on the Monroe 20. 4:55 remaining in second quarter. White is going to roll to his right, looking for someone. Intercepted!
Still got it.
Still on his feet was number 91, Jason Book.
I'll tell you, stepped right in. And you almost thought the Monroe quarterback was throwing for him. Jason Book took it in nicely and put the Bears in good shape.
And Jason Book is a 5'9", 158-pound sophomore. Again, sophomore seeing a lot of action on that defense. You saw Dave McGowan coming in to replace Molina, who is still on the sideline.
And I mentioned before, Greg Kohlheim was out that last defensive series. He's coming in fresh. You can expect him to do what he's been doing, roll out there, either pass or pick up some good yardage.
And Tangway is on one-on-one coverage, it looks like.
Kohlheim hands off to Sabatino.
I have to think that the East Brunswick side will look at that. Tangway one-on-one on the defensive back.
Well, my point, Jim, is that he's one-on-one with the defensive back out there. Kohlheim can roll that to that side. If, in fact, Tangway beats the man, he can pop him with one. If not,
right.
Greg is fresh. He is fresh. He can take off.
You betcha. And it's that quick pass that can do it for Greg.
2nd and 7 from the Falcons' 14-yard line. Kohlheim keeps, tries to follow his way up the hole, pushes his way and gets into the 10-yard line.
Well, he's close enough so that they're going to have a real quick, short, 3rd and short yardage here. So he did the job.
So turnovers have been the key thus far to this game. East Brunswick coming up with the interception, hoping to turn it into some points with 3:35 remaining. They trail by 1, 7-6. It'll bring up 3rd and 2 from the 9-yard line. Certainly 4-down territory. Kohlheim takes his time, comes over center, keeps it, looks right, he's looking for Tangway, he's got him. Touchdown, East Brunswick.
There it was, right on the line. Tangway was open that last time, and this time Kohlheim finds him.
Well, you called it, Jim, and it seems like they've had the ability to do that. The defender out there doesn't seem to be able to stay with Tangway, and if he would have come up.
Makes it 12-7 East Brunswick, and we'll see what they're going to do for the extra point.
Well, let's see. Marcus is on the field, so
he's asking for the ball to be moved over to the left hash mark as you see it.
They will go for 2, it looks like. And he's almost telegraphing what he's going to do, Phil. He's got the ball on this side of the field. That gives Kohlheim the entire side.
Same play.
And he's been doing very, very well.
He's been doing very well, but don't be surprised if they go the opposite way.
And that's what this type of option allows you to do.
3:01 remaining in the 2nd quarter. The Bears go on top for the first time this afternoon.
So East Brunswick finally on top.
Did East Brunswick call a timeout, Jim?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
Yes, Marcus Borden is on the field, and that's the reason why there's this discussion going on. We notice Marcus does like to call a lot of timeouts during conversions. Not quite sure whether it's confusion or strategy.
Well, if you think back over the years, conversions have been the big difference in a lot of big games.
Have they? Don't remind us.
Tangway goes wide right as East Brunswick will go for 2. Shanaffy is the lone setback.
Yep,
Kohlheim rolls right. He's got some running room if he wants it. Throws for it, and it's caught by Quan.
Boy, I'll tell you what, give Greg Kohlheim some room,
Well,
and he really can do the job.
Not only that, you talk about confidence. You pointed out, Jim, he rolled out there. If he had to, he could have run the ball in, but his confidence level is as such that he threw the pass and did hit the receiver, and that bodes well for the Bears.
It really does.
14-7.
Kohlheim, just a junior, and boy, I see some great things for Greg. If he can stay healthy, he's going to become a dynamic quarterback in this wishbone offense.
Well, when you consider all the young talent that they have, and we keep talking about sophomore here, sophomore there, they are very young. And when you consider that a lot of these players will be coming back next year.
Phil, you you watch the Pop Warner scene in East Brunswick, and I know that St. Bart's and the Golden Bears. What can we look forward to? How's the success of those teams been in the last couple of years?
I think it's been fragmented. It's hard to read. I've been advocating that they combine forces. I think the talent is too dispersed. I think with some of the teams that they're playing, they're overmatched.
McGowan's kick is short, fielded at the 20-yard line.
Whoa.
And
Shanafi was the one that got banged there.
Jabaz Spence with the ball.
Holding on for dear life.
And he gets up to the 39-yard line where Monroe will have it. 2:51 remaining in the second quarter. And they're down by 7, 14-7.
All right, so the defense did the job last time, and they will look to capitalize again if they can. Still plenty of time, 2:40. I think East Brunswick has used one of its timeouts.
Monroe comes out slowly. They'll stay with that power I formation as White pitches it to Jackson. And Jackson will pick up 3. And you may see Jackson the entire series here.
Well, they seem to be content to pitch that ball back and give it to the running backs there, which means they're a little unsure on their passing game. Jason White being just a freshman, but also an opportunity. I think the Bears got to keep their eyes open, because if they do put that ball up there, it's a great time to pick one off.
2nd and 4, ball at the Monroe 43-yard line. White pitches back to Jackson again.
They got him
He's got nowhere to go.
I think he lost yardage on that one.
He lost 2 yards.
I'll tell you, Jason Jacobs coming up strong, and Sean Daly.
1:35 clock showing and ticking at the same time. And it looks like Monroe does not want to make any mistakes on this side of the 50. They have a 3rd and 6. Quick pitch, Jackson left side, he's got some running room. He's got the first down, and he stays on his feet.
Wow.
Taken out of bounds at the 28-yard line.
I'll tell you,
heck of a run.
Showing fine balance there and excellent speed.
And they're going to say he stepped out of bounds upfield at about the 36.
Nevertheless, a first down.
That'll stop the clock with 1:02 and give the Falcons a first down. Plenty of time for Monroe. White calling signals. Pitch again to Jackson. Jackson right side. He's got a big hole.
Great block.
He's still on his feet if he stays in bounds, and he drops out at about the 8-yard line.
Kamishi Jackson, and again, just another fine effort. We saw him to the left, came back to the right, tight broke down the right side of the line, couldn't stay in bounds, but picked up good yardage. Another first down.
Phil, I said it was going to be Jackson every play of the series, and it has been.
And I'll tell you, I've been surprised. Keith Hudak was a passing quarterback at South River, and you'd think that regardless of what kind of talent you have, you try to coach the same. But here, you're right, no passes whatsoever.
Well,
pitching that ball back to what works for them.
I think that shows Keith's level of intelligence, that he does what his talent will give him.
Inside a minute remaining, 14-7, Bears on top, but Monroe has it. 1st and 10, actually 1st and goal from the 7.
Boy, this has been all Jackson, hasn't it?
And a movement by offensive line on Monroe as Clayton.
And
Jaskowitz,
and that's got to hurt.
Preliminary indication is motion against the Falcons.
Jackson had the ball inside the 5-yard line, but that's going to be brought back on the penalty. 52 seconds remaining. We're near halftime here at East Brunswick High School, and we mentioned it is homecoming. And thus far, the fans have been entertained with a good game.
It has been competitive. You don't get the feeling that East Brunswick can draw away from Monroe.
you don't get the feeling that East Brunswick's looking for a pass, neither.
Too close. Everybody tight.
From the 12-yard line, Monroe will give it to Jackson. He'll go left, finds a little breathing room. Still on his feet,
Wow.
tackle from behind at the 10.
Well, that penalty makes it a situation where Monroe has to get into the end zone. And looks like we've got a timeout here with 42 seconds, John. We'll just see how that 5-yard penalty bears out, but it was a first down on the 8-yard line, and now it's second down, and Monroe does need to get into the end zone. They can't get a first down. So it's been all Jackson this drive, and he's been doing much of the work. He had that fumble recovery, I think, Phil, so he's been playing a lot of defense. And again, I think we'll have to wait till the second half to find out exactly what the Falcons are made of as far as their stamina and things like that.
Well, with timeout on the field, 42 seconds remaining, the ball is on the 9-yard line. Monroe will have a 2nd and goal from the 9.
Big play here, and you got to wonder what the is it second down, Jim?
It's second down because of that first down penalty. But I don't know how many timeouts the Falcons have left. That's because that could be a factor.
I think they have 2. That was their first.
You got to wonder if the Falcons have a counter here. Take the pitch and come back with Clayton.
42 seconds remaining in the half.
All right, White looking over the East Brunswick defense. They fakes the pitch, looks over the middle, no one there.
Well, the play was well designed, but thrown just a little tick too quickly for number 83. Eric Eppinger was the intended receiver.
And Phil, that's just the inexperience of a freshman at quarterback.
That's right. Well,
He was more concerned with the play, getting the play down rather than watching his receiver.
well, the question is, they threw on second down there, third down here.
Well, the ball is on the far hash mark.
They
So
only
Jackson,
had one receiver go out, so it was either work or not.
39 seconds, 3rd and goal now from the 9. And there is a breeze from that end of the field, which may make a field goal even difficult. Here goes Jackson. He's going to throw it. He puts it up in the air looking for,
Oh, wow.
he was looking for number 11.
I'll tell you, Jackson rolled out, had the pressure put on him by Daly, lost his footing and underthrew the receiver there.
yeah, that's what it was. He lost his footing because if he had his foot in that, wait a minute now. Okay, the official's going like this, like a legal procedure, but I didn't see a flag, so I don't know what that's all about. Are they going to try a field goal here or what?
Apparently so. Pipero couldn't get back to the pass as Jackson slipped as he was throwing, so it brings up 4th down.
Well, I'll tell you what, Pipero was rather true on that extra point. So there's no reason to think he can't put this through.
Good snap. Kick is up. And it's good. So Monroe gets on the board before half, making it 14-10. The Bears by 4 with 26 seconds remaining.
And what do we got on that field goal, gentlemen? I was watching the flight of the ball and not where it was placed.
16 yards.
Okay, 16 yards. From the 6, huh?
They're at the 9.
Okay, so they were at the 9, go back 7, 16, 26 yards.
You were educated in East Brunswick, John?
You do know that from the 16-yard line, you add 10 yards to the field goal, right, John?
The ball wasn't on the 16.
Oh, it wasn't? Okay.
That's what I'm saying. The ball was on the 9.
The ball was on the 9.
At 7.
Add 7.
Okay.
Anyway, what is the score?
Well, you didn't stay in the East Brunswick system all your life, otherwise.
Stay with me, boys. Huh?
Oh, Lord. So East Brunswick, has 26 seconds to see if they can do anything with this?
Well, I'm sure it's going to depend on what kind of field position they get off this kickoff. Kohlheim is the sole return man. And it looks as though East Brunswick's expecting maybe an onside kick. Certainly something on the ground anyway.
Yeah, that was the last time Pipero sort of fudged it a little bit. Remember, Quan came up with that ball.
Well, they would do right to go to the right side if they are.
A little chip shot that Kohlheim will pick up at the 8-yard line. And this is going to be a foot race now. And he's hit from behind.
I tell you, you're right, exactly.
Papero is the one that slowed up Kohlheim enough so that the rest of the team could get back.
So 17 seconds on the clock. East Brunswick will have good field position.
I tell you, and if Dean Cernakis doesn't come back to make the tackle, Greg Kohlheim's off the races.
East Brunswick calls the timeout.
So 17 seconds to, you wonder why those plays were not called before. Using a timeout here. And I think both teams are going to be quite pleased to go into the locker room. This has been a hot field. We're out of the sunlight now, so that's good.
Thank goodness.
But it's humid as well, and it's taken a lot of strength out of these players.
Monroe looks like they're trying to bring in some fresh bodies, at least for a few plays. Here we go. The Bears will have it on their own 44-yard line.
Watch for Tim.
You know, 2 deep backs for the Falcons.
17 ticks on the clock. Kohlheim being chased. Puts it up in the air short, looking for Quan on the sideline. That'll leave 10 seconds.
I guess the one unfortunate thing about East Brunswick's offense is that Kohlheim is a rollout passer, and it's not quite designed for the long strike that you look for in a situation like this.
Well, one thing you need to keep in mind, rolling out, you cut the field in half. You only have half the field to work with as well. Here we go. 10 seconds remaining on the clock. Bears on top, 14-10. As we near halftime, Kohlheim has a man, Quan, and Quan takes it and gets out of bounds with 4 seconds remaining into Monroe territory. First down, a flag is down. We may have a roughing the passer.
Boy, I'll tell you what, if it is roughing the passer, that would be no, Monroe is clapping.
Holding East Brunswick.
Flag on the play, holding East Brunswick.
I know Kohlheim was being chased, and I thought maybe he got roughed after he released the ball.
Well, that negates a fine play and a fine gain. And perhaps East Brunswick might run the clock out here now.
4 seconds.
Actually, they're trying to hoping to get in at least field goal range. Ian Silverman kicking a 31-yarder, Jim.
I got 26 yards.
Last week?
Oh, last week,
Yeah.
Silverman, yes. Ian Silverman, who is the joined the football team after a tryout with soccer and booted through a rather nice 31-yarder that gave East Brunswick a 9-7 lead over Madison Central.
Kohlheim gives it inside. Shanafi runs into the referee, and that will do it. It's halftime here at East Brunswick. Homecoming. The Bears on top, 14-10 in a very well-played, spirited game.
It was a well-played game in the second quarter. That's when all the scoring occurred, actually. Monroe jumped out on top 7-0 with Clayton running 2 yards at just the second play to begin the second quarter, and then East Brunswick came back with 2 touchdowns of its own. Shanafi a 1-yard run at 6:36 to put East Brunswick actually down 7-6. They missed the extra point. Then Kohlheim on that nice 10-yard pass to Tangway put them up 14-7. There was a 2-point conversion to Quan. And then Papero comes back from Monroe to kick a 26-yard field goal to leave it 14-10, which is where we stand.
All right, we mentioned that it is homecoming, and the cheerleaders and the band and the crowd is all here. And as usual, there's a king and queen at every homecoming event. And this year, we're pleased to announce that the homecoming queen is senior Casey Black, who will be escorted shortly by her dad. And the king, someone I think we know, we've been calling his name for quite a few years, Tom Ruggia. Tom obviously is not dressed in a suit and tie. He's going in the locker room with Coach Marcus Borden. Sophomore attendant is Vivian Santaramasi. and the junior attendant is Stephanie Toto. And each of these people, particularly the ladies, are being escorted by their dads.
Nice
And
touch.
you'll see them come into view shortly as we get ready for halftime. The high school cheerleaders entertaining the crowd. The East Brunswick High School band on the field. And we're going to take a timeout, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Good afternoon. My name is Dan Semple, and as President of the Student Council, it is my pleasure to welcome you to today's homecoming game. As members of the East Brunswick community, we join today in the great celebration of homecoming. Everyone always asks what homecoming means. Homecoming means exactly what it says, coming home. Years from now, I will look back and smile at the shared memories, and perhaps on a crisp day in October with the sun high in the sky, I will return to this field and join once again in the celebration. Now on with our celebration. It is with great pleasure that I now introduce this year's homecoming court. Vivian Santamaria, our sophomore attendant, is escorted by her father. Stephanie Toto, our junior attendant, is also escorted by her father. Of her proud father, our homecoming queen, Casey Black. Unfortunately cannot accept this crown during this ceremony because as captain of the Bears football team, he is huddling in the locker room with Coach Gordon and his teammates reviewing the first half and making plans for the second. Our queen will crown King Rugia when he can accept it. as the football team enters, look for number 58 and give the homecoming king a great round of applause, because he really wishes he could be here, but that's the price you have to pay to win a homecoming game. As the homecoming court departs, can you please give them a rousing round of applause?
Well, welcome back as we get ready to kick off the second half at East Brunswick High School. The Bears on top 14-10. McGowan puts it on the ground. It's going to be fielded by Monroe at about the 22. And that was number 36, I believe, on the carry. Jabaz Spence.
I'll tell you who went down there and put a lick in there was number 61, Dave Hagan.
And Sabatino making the tackle.
So Monroe with good field position. They are only trailed by 4 as we start this third quarter. And guys, I have to be honest with you, I'm surprised Monroe's hung in there as well as they have.
You wonder if they're going to change up. They've been rather predictable.
Well, I think they're also the beneficiaries of this prolonged halftime, with this being homecoming. They should probably come out fired up.
White pitches to Jackson, left side. Jackson trying to turn the corner. He does. Puts his head down for the first down.
That's a good 11-yard gain. And we'll see how long it takes before this Monroe team gets worn down.
And Jackson coming up and lowering his shoulders, and Jason Book lowered his as well.
So you got to be impressed with Jackson. I mean, he's not a real big back.
Well, you got to be impressed with him when in fact, you know, every team's that plays Monroe is going to key on him, and he has to try to do it despite that fact.
1st and 10, the ball at their own 47. Pitch, Jackson right side this time, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage.
Maybe. But there's a case right there where they were keying on Jackson, the entire team, and he did all he could to get back to the line of scrimmage.
Well, most of his yards have come from going over or around the left side of his offensive line rather than the right.
And Dumas and Fisher combining on that tackle. Counter.
Clayton,
Flag is down.
who are they going to call on this? Probably holding from where that flag came from. And that's what they got.
And Monroe's starting to sputter a little bit here as they start this 3rd quarter.
Take him back, Phil?
Yes.
There was no gain on that play. Actually, there was a loss of 2 yards. It's a question here.
Take him back.
Okay. Excuse me.
That's Phil Hill's expert analysis. That's why we have him up here.
That's after a long half with
Okay.
nothing to drink. So he's in a great mood. Okay.
And they listen to him. It'll bring up 2nd and 20. Ball moves back to the Monroe 37-yard line. Falcons trailing by 4.
And, well, Monroe has been mistake-prone this afternoon, so you have to watch for that with this young freshman quarterback, Jason White.
White calling signals. It's a pitch to Jackson.
Ooh,
And Jackson's
I'll
dropped in
tell
the
you,
backfield.
A real nice play. Jason Jacobs coming up to make the tackle. A real nice play by the young
You're going to say young senior.
young senior. Okay.
Well, we haven't seen too much of Jason.
Jason, that's the deal.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of experience coming into this year, and he has been very spirited out there.
Well, it seems the Monroe playbook is Jackson left, Jackson right, but it hasn't helped them, particularly the start of this 3rd quarter.
There's only a few things you do. You pitch them right or left, or you pitch them and you let them pass off it, which are the only things that we've seen.
An official timeout as one of these Brunswick players having some equipment problems with the helmet.
Okay, so why did they go back to the huddle?
Because that's what they were told to do. They'll be looking at a 3rd and 22 from their own 35.
And this has got to be a drop back by Jason White.
And a little dive play to Clayton.
Wow.
And Clayton still on his feet.
Wow.
And Clayton
Picked up.
won't get the first down,
No,
but
he
he'll
won't.
pick up about 16 yards.
Well, he bounced off a couple of tacklers there. That surprised everybody. You thought he was going to drop back,
I thought he was
Phil.
going to drop back, and I think it really tells you something about the passing game, which is not surprisingly practically non-existent because of the young quarterback. But you're right.
Titus, number 6, into punt for Monroe.
This must be the first time we've seen him, is it?
I think so. Whalen goes back for East Brunswick. Titus, it's a fake. And almost completed and almost intercepted.
There's Keith Hudak. There he is.
Finally the throw. Finally a surprise right there.
Yeah.
And if the young player could have stayed on his feet, perhaps he could have caught it.
And it was, I think it was probably a hand was in his face as well. And that may have made it a difficult.
Well, the surprise play doesn't work, and the ball goes over to East Brunswick. They'll have it 1st and 10 from their own 47. Good field position. They're on top, 14-10. Kohlheim will lead them out. Keeps it.
Good
Gonna
block.
step up.
Good block by
He's got plenty of room.
Tangway. Laid out somebody there.
One tackler, and he makes it for Monroe. Pipero, last person to go after him.
Scott Papero coming up with a big tackle there. Greg sort of shaked and baked and Gave a fake barrel, didn't go for it, but Greg was gone.
And he was, again, assisted by by Jay Tangway's excellent block there that freed up Kohlheim to cut up that middle.
First down, East Brunswick into Monroe territory. Ball spotted at the Falcons' 20-yard line.
And don't be surprised if Gray goes to the right with the same thing.
You called it, Phil. He still has it. Slips as he gets down to the 15-yard line.
Pick up a 5, fouls at the 15. Rulers knee down on the 16.
Okay, I'm really inside of Marcus Borden's head right now, and I know what's going on. And we know he's going to roll out again and hit Tangway on this one. I feel it. Matter of fact, I'd bet the mortgage.
Okay, here we go.
You heard it here first. 14-10, Bears on top. Clock going down to 7:10, third quarter action.
So Papero, number 11, is on Tangway to the right.
2nd and 6 for the Bears. And there's Abi Toshu.
Timmy A.
And of course they flip-flop the ends, otherwise I would have been right.
Okay.
But he's down to the 2-yard line.
This is a fine executed drive.
Well, they're mixing up things rather well.
Yep.
They really are.
And Kohlheim is now very comfortable with running this offense.
First and goal for the Bears. Ball on the 2. Tangway goes wide right.
There's Tangway.
Touchdown.
Who gets it?
Shanafi.
Okay.
That's his second of the game.
Well, you were close, Phil. They almost ran that play.
I'll let you have the second mortgage.
20-10, Bears now by 10, looking to go up by 11. McGowan on the field.
McGowan on for the try for the extra point. Allinder on the hole.
Snap is high over the head.
Well, can't advance this.
No,
I
you
think.
can't do a
And
thing.
it's down right there.
All right, if it's in college ball, you can take it the other way for 2 points.
Right.
High school, it's dead.
So what? It becomes 20-10. That's twice. that
Stays
East
at
Brunswick
20-10.
Has misfired on the extra point attempt.
And you see Keith Hudak walking out with his troops there. And I talked with Keith very briefly before the game. And Keith is a winner and is used to winning. And the fact of the matter, since he's been with Monroe, he hasn't had a winning season, I don't believe. And they lost quite a bit. And when you're a winner and you're losing constantly, even for the nice guys, it starts to grate on you. And you sort of could pick it up in his voice that
A little bit frustrated,
He's a little bit frustrated. You know, he knows he has young players and they're going to come around, but I think that's been the story. He's waiting for something finally to happen to all be put together. I'm not so sure how long he's going to stay around, really.
But I'll tell you, Phil, if you look at this Monroe team, they're not that far away. I mean, they've got some talent.
Right.
They've got some size. Probably depth is where they're being hurt right now.
Right, and that'll take care of itself in a couple of years when the bodies start to find their way into the high school. This is a growing township.
Well,
go ahead, Phil.
Not only another thing that's got to be frustrating for him. He didn't say it to me, but I have sources there that they have kids and they have talents, but oftentimes you think you got a player that you can count on for the next year, and then you find out that they're academically ineligible.
That's
and
very
that
true.
just throws everything off, and
Right.
that's got to be doubly frustrating.
Well, that certainly happened here this year at East Brunswick. So
Yes, it did.
when you're down in terms of numbers, you really count on those kids, and when for whatever reason they can't come through, it certainly can hinder the program, and I think that's what you're really saying here. But I'll tell you got to be impressed by Jackson and even Clayton. The defensive line for Monroe is better than we anticipated.
They got a few kids there. Waters is playing well. And Jaskowitz.
Penalty on East Brunswick. They were offsides on the kickoff, so they'll do it again. McGowan and Spence will pick it up at the 18-yard line.
And a good tackle. Is that Dumas?
Dumas had him, but didn't wrap.
Yeah.
And Spence gets up to the 30.
Phil, let me make another observation. I think the situation in Monroe is not unlike East Brunswick in that soccer is I would say, a more popular sport than football there is over there. You get a lot of the best athletes playing soccer, and Monroe does have a quality soccer high school team.
I see. Well, you pointed out they have an outstanding Pop Warner program, and
Yes.
you think...
Well, to answer that question, a lot of those players end up going to Bishop Bar.
Okay.
White, 1st and 10, Falcons on their own 30. Jackson gets outside, and he gets to the 35-yard line.
We haven't been paying attention to yardage, but I suspect that Jackson's getting close to 100 yards.
Well, he's picked up some good yardage there, and again, once again, a high pitch there. He's able to pull it down, and nothing fancy. Everybody in the stadium knows pretty much what he's going to do, go to one side or the other, and yet he picks up good yardage.
Yeah, we were talking about numbers and how it affects sports, and we saw it this year at East Brunswick High School, where Don Weider and the boys gymnastics team did not come about this year. And after 16 state championships or thereabouts in 24 years or whatever, that program is now gone.
Wow.
How do you feel about that, John?
Well, we're looking on our monitor. We see Jackson down. He's injured on the sideline. But I'll get back to that, Jim, in just a minute.
Right, he's in quite a bit of pain now.
He was rolled out on the sidelines by 2 or 3 East Brunswick players.
Oh, he is hurting.
I'll tell you, he's hurting. He's 5'9", 170-pound senior, and when you're 170 pounds and you got to be the workhorse, sooner or later it's going to catch up with you. And we certainly hope the young man's okay.
I wonder if it's a leg cramp.
Now you can see he's in pain. They're working on the side. I don't know if it's his calf or his thigh. A lot of people in the picture right now. All right, don't get the action going. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 5 for Monroe. The ball on their own 35.
It'll be interesting to see what the offense is minus Mr. Jackson.
Well, next week's opponent will be Perth Amboy. They will be going to the winless Panthers. As a matter of fact, the Panthers haven't won a game in a couple of years. So this will be another opportunity for the Bears to notch a win. Perth Amboy does have some quality players, though. I saw them against Saraville, and they hung tough for a while.
Ooh.
Clayton, he's met in the backfield and is able to move his size forward for maybe a yard.
And I'll tell you, Mr. Ruja, Captain Ruja, homecoming king Ruja, slammed him that time. The smaller Ruja coming up to make the tackle on Mr. Clayton.
Brings up 3rd and 4. Clock down to 4:55 remaining here in the 3rd quarter. Bears on top, 20-10.
And Monroe needs this desperately.
White looking to throw. Going to be sacked.
I'll tell you, snowed under.
By about 6 players.
I'll tell you.
And he's hurt. Mr. White got caught.
Yeah, he was slammed that time.
And I'll tell you, Art Inatove, I'm probably saying his name wrong, but he's been assisted on a number.
Well, we alluded to the fact that as this game wore on, there was the distinct possibility that the size and strength and numbers from East Brunswick would tend to overwhelm Monroe, and I think this is what you might be seeing. There's certainly injuries have played a factor in this, but there was nobody. I mean, it was about 6 players came in on poor Jason White that time.
And I take that back. That's Jamil Hamden, who's been in on a number of plays, 69 rather than number 68, and he's been around the ball an awful lot tonight, and he was the first one that blew in there before the rest of his teammates came in. And as we pointed out, Mr. White Jason White is the freshman quarterback, and you got to wonder where Keith Hudak goes from here.
Well, I'm looking through my glasses, and I see Jason White laid out on the field. Jackson is just starting to get up now, slowly on the sidelines and limping.
White is up and under his own power coming off the field.
He got wiped out that way.
He did.
And
He
you
did.
got Charlie Titus.
The punter.
Puncher, right? He attempted that unsuccessful pass.
And he's a good punter. You got a lot of schools looking at this young fellow, from what I understand. He's been the punter for the last 3 years, and several schools are looking at him. So let's take a look at his leg.
That's
Not
a nice
bad.
leg. That is a nice leg.
At the 35, a reverse. Kohlheim has it. Gets one block. But that'll be it as he struggles to get close to the 40-yard line.
Okay, it's the first time
We haven't seen that in a
well,
while.
they did it the first game against Piscataway, attempted to do it and caused the fumble on it, and they haven't done it since.
It
And
used to be an East Brunswick trademark.
that's right.
Yes.
The Jesse James gang would do all sorts of things on punt and kickoff returns, and they've gotten a little conservative in their old age, but bringing a little bit of it back right now.
So probably a wounded Monroe defense with Jackson out of the game and in the secondary. Let's see if the Bears try to exploit that.
They have it 1st and 10 on their own 38. They lead 20-10. 3:40 remaining here in the third quarter. Kohlheim keeps, tries to go around the left side, makes the turn and goes out of bounds at the 45-yard line.
Picks himself up 7 yards.
I tell you, Greg Kohlheim looks like he would be a great hurdler. You know, those long strides, fluid strides.
Will be third, correction, 2nd and 3 from the 45.
Bring up 2nd and 3. Inside handoff, Shanafi. And he's got the first down and crosses midfield.
He was dragging somebody with him there. Monroe player went for the ball rather than the tackle, and it wasn't the right thing to do. That was Jaskowitz that he dragged.
Jim, you mentioned Monroe is not in the red division, right?
Right, they're in the white division.
White. How
Which,
did this game come about then?
Well, there are only so many opponents that a team can play within the red division, so they have to drop down for a couple, and it's usually a 2-year cycle. It's the second time that East Brunswick has played Monroe.
Kohlheim gives off to Quan, almost drops it, but gets up to the 45-yard line.
So what you have is a situation with this 2-year cycle ending is that East Brunswick probably will take on a new white division opponent next year, and I'm not sure who that would be. Among the teams that they could be playing are South Plainfield. You have Bishop Bar, which is a white division opponent. Let's see. South Brunswick is another one. So these are all distinct possibilities.
I'll tell you, Bishop R would be a great
That would be
matchup
good.
for the Bears.
Kohlheim fakes to Quan, rolls right, puts it up,
Interference.
Why?
and a flag is thrown.
Yes,
I guess they did call it.
They did.
he inhibited his movement.
Agabatosho
It's going to be flagged.
inhibited his right to the ball, as you say. So that'll be a 15-yard penalty instead of where the interference occurred.
Jim, any chance East Brunswick go out of county for an opponent?
Mr. Knoppenberger would be the one to talk about that. Those situations arise when the possibility of opponents within the GMC, the schedules don't match up. So supposedly if East Brunswick had a date, say on November 8th, if they can't find an opponent within the GMC, that's always, I think the bylaws of the conference state that you must search for an opponent within the GMC, and if there isn't any, then you're allowed to go out of conference.
I just think
Because, no, I was just thinking, what was last year or the year before, we played Bayonne.
Bayonne was one. Yes. East Windsor, West Windsor.
Right.
Which one? West Windsor, Plainsboro, I believe it was.
I think it comes down to the trend seems to be more towards economics, keeping games as close as you possibly can have, not making those trips like you used to Phillipsburg and crazy places and
Cherokee.
so forth.
That was a crazy place.
Yeah.
Nice place, though.
1st and 10 for the Bears on the penalty. The ball on the Monroe 30. Kohlheim keeps, steps up, being held by his own player there.
And this game is winding down.
Yes.
And it's the 3rd quarter.
2 minutes remaining, inside of 2 minutes now.
It's almost as if the teams have looked at the scoreboard. The score is only 20-10, really. But Monroe seems resigned right now.
Well, I think we talked about it earlier, the fact that they had a lot of players going both ways. Once you started getting towards the 4th quarter, you're going to see it really taking its toll more so on the Monroe players, I believe.
Well, we see White throwing on the sidelines over there, so he looks okay.
2nd and 7, Kohlheim to his right.
Oh,
he's got Shanafi all by himself. Wow. Touchdown.
What a nice crisp run that was.
I'll tell you, whoever threw the block on the corner there should be given a lot of credit. Kept the pressure off Kohlheim. Kohlheim, once again, could have run if he chose to. Just a beautiful pass by the young man there. And Shanafi take it in stride with nothing but hands.
Quite honestly, Phil, at first I was wondering where he was throwing.
And that's Shanafi's 3rd touchdown of the day.
And I believe that's Kohlheim's second touchdown pass?
Yes,
okay.
You're right.
2nd touchdown pass.
Makes it 26-10 now. And we may see, is it Mr. Kilkenny?
That's right. East Brunswick, quite obviously, coming in with an 0-3 record, has not had the liberty.
McGowan makes it 27-10.
Of being able to freely substitute. So they may welcome that.
27, Monroe 10.
So with 1:19 remaining in the 3rd quarter, the Bears up by 17 rather.
Well,
I see
cheerleaders.
Cheerleaders are
doing their.
They're doing push-ups. I think when they decided they were going to do that this year, that they never thought that
would be a problem, huh, Phil?
They got 27 of them to do.
Is that what you want to say?
Well, obviously these kids are in better shape than our daughters were.
And I tell you, they're not done for the day, I have a feeling.
No.
Yeah. Well,
they got a whole quarter yet.
They do have another quarter, and we should see a lot of new faces for the Bears. But, well, I think next week's game should be more competitive with Perth Amboy.
You know what Perth Amboy is? Perth Amboy is a Piscataway of a couple years ago. Has some talent, can be explosive and whatnot.
Right.
Just has not put together. And I know Coach Stinson must be having fits.
Well, he's having fits because he has a nicely designed offense there that is a read and react.
Spence from the 17. He's got one man to beat.
Well, oh, he turned it in.
He turned it in.
And he's into East Brunswick territory. He's had 4 straight kickoffs to handle and finally breaks one.
And number 9 made the tackle there. We don't have a number 9 on our schedule there.
You're right. So what do we do? Pick the closest number?
Assume it's Adam Latrusky.
Okay.
White is backed out there for Monroe. Falcons down by 17 with 50 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. They put 2 receivers to the left.
Okay, number 9, I believe they're trying to tell me is...
Here comes Clayton.
Corio.
And we have not seen Jackson return. Here he comes.
Number 9 at tackle was Dan Corio, that saving tackle there. And
Jackson's back in, you're right, Jim.
Limping slightly, but nonetheless, glad to see him back in, considering, boy, he was in pain on the sideline there.
Well, this is going to be pitch left Jackson. Clayton now moves up to the up back position. And there is Jackson, left side.
Whoa,
it's
he's
a
got
foot
rope.
race.
I'll tell you, he had a rest.
He's in.
All the way, and he dives in,
I'll
to
tell
be
you,
sure.
Just blew.
Look at him. He's. I wonder how he is.
Jackson on the 32 Brunswick.
You know, he's not getting up.
Do you think?
Touchdown Monroe.
I'm wondering if his leg didn't give out on him.
Really?
That's why he dove.
He's hurting again.
Well, you had him over the sideline for a good 5 minutes, and finally came back in the game offensively and just blew around that left-hand side. But you're right. We thought he would run in clearly, and as soon as he got to the goal line, he dove over, even though he was well ahead. So you got to wonder if something popped or what.
Looks like cramps, Phil, or a hamstring problem there. Anyway, that play should end the third quarter, or after the extra point, that will be the end of the third quarter.
Well, if you look down there, you'll see that young man helping him. That is Yazzie Jackson, the one I was talking to you about, who's going to be heir apparent to Kamishi.
Well, the young man's put on a show this afternoon, that's for sure.
It's good back.
And all of a sudden, it's 27-16. Jackson took the pitch, started in, and then broke it to the outside, and that was it. No one was going to catch him.
I suspect that run probably put him over the 100-yard mark for yardage today. 2-point try, John.
White. And he's not going to even get a chance to throw it. Not giving him much help with only 2 receivers out there.
And Jason Greco, once again, coming up with the big tackle.
So our score will remain 27-16 as the third quarter comes to an end, and we go to the last 12 minutes of this game.
A lot of scoring.
John, you could have had about 8 holes in.
Oh yeah, I could have been making a turn on the 10th here.
Well, again, in all seriousness, we talked about the ability of Monroe to be explosive. Their problem is consistency, and that's what happens with the young teams. They're just not that consistent, but they do have the ability at any time to pop a big play, as they did there.
And they're going to switch sides. Finally, someone realized it was the end of the quarter.
Homecoming's a little different from years gone by. I mean, I realize we're fighting Rutgers homecoming today, and a televised game as well. And
yes.
I know
not to mention the baseball playoffs going on.
Baseball playoffs. There's some all-star Little League fall ball going on, and so you're competing with a lot more things nowadays than in years gone by when everyone would come out for homecoming.
My comment is, unless there's something that I don't know about, why not play the game on a Friday night? I know there were some holidays going on, but I'm not quite sure that there's nothing wrong with homecoming night or even playing on a Saturday night.
I guess I'll kind of split the difference between the two of you, because I know Phil is kind of a Saturday afternoon proponent of football coming from South River where they have no lights.
Nor will they.
Or nor will they ever have lights. But I prefer to see night football in the early part of the season, but once you hit November, to move it into daytime. And those November nights are cool.
Yeah, rather.
I'll tell you, fine kickoff.
Kohlheim will let it go. He better jump on that ball.
No. If it's dead, as soon as it goes in the end zone in high school.
It is? Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
So we had a little excitement here. But we're back to the game.
That's it for the second quarter. Yeah.
For the record, South River's looking at lights. I don't know.
Yeah, they've been looking at lights in a lot of places.
You haven't read the most recent account, have you, Phil?
The Sentinel?
No, it's been knocked down. One more time. Well, it's according to
it's going to be the Wrigley Field of high school football.
Times past. They say it's $11,000 to put one of these light stanchions in. I find that hard to believe.
Well, Phil could make a donation and put up a few of them. Kohlheim keeps.
Going after that ball.
And it gets to the 25, and I guess the question is, do you leave Kohlheim in there?
I believe so. I tell you, Sabatini made a smart play there. Sabatini started too soon, and rather than get called for the play, he just took himself in motion.
To address your question, John, I think 27-16 is too close of a margin. You take your top quarterback out.
You have 11 minutes left in the game.
2nd and 5 from the 25.
And watch Tangway here. I'll tell you what, he. They hand off again.
Shanafy still on his feet. He's going to need some help, though. There's no one in front of him with the green shirt on.
And Eric Eppenser coming up with lane 1 on Shanafy. Shanafy struggling to pick up extra yardage.
You know, we talk about fall football and Saturday afternoons, and you know, we've been to a lot of stadiums, fellas, but I still think in the fall this is one of the prettiest places to be.
Oh, it's definitely so.
I concur.
Definitely so.
3rd and 2 now for the Bears from their own 28. They're on top, 27-16. And Quan has got the first down.
Yes, he does. We have not seen too much of Matt Quan this year.
Well, Quan's just a sophomore, Jim. 5'9", 163, and another one of those softs getting some experience. And
well, you notice that Frank Sermonello, number 44, is not in uniform. He's on the sideline with his jersey injured, so he's not playing today.
First down for the Bears on their own 34-yard line. And Shanafy gets to the 40.
All right, could have been a face mask.
Straight ahead football now.
No call.
Clock running down inside 10 minutes remaining in the game.
Now you got a double flanker on the left here. And Monroe, I don't think Monroe's made the adjustment, quite frankly.
2nd and 4.
Now they do.
Kohlheim will keep to his left. He's got an alley. He's got the first down as he crosses into Monroe territory.
And I tell you, Tangway throwing a fine block on the corner there.
And you look at the Monroe players, and they all have their hands on their hips. Look like they're gasping for breath. This is taking a lot out of them.
I can tell you, we keep talking about sophomores, but again, you got Tangway as a junior here, but certainly nailed the lineman on that side there, opening up for Kohlheim.
First down on the Monroe 44-yard line. East Brunswick looking for more. They're up by 11. Quan, he'll pick up 3.
Stop at the 42-yard line. Pick up with 3. It'll be 2nd and 7.
Phil, you know who else I noticed on the sideline for Monroe? You probably wouldn't notice him because he looks to be about 75 pounds lighter, is Ray Ruiz.
Is that right?
Yes, Ray Ruiz was a he was a fine assistant coach for South River for many years.
A number of years.
And I know he's been coaching the Pop Warner team over at Monroe, doing very, very well.
2nd and 7. Kohlheim gives to Quan again. Shanafy, and what a tremendous run by Shanafy.
And Shanafy looking for touchdown number 4 today.
I'll tell you, he's dragging a few linemen there, and just determined young man.
Reminds me a little bit of Jim Varick down at Monmouth College
Jim
now.
Varick doing fine his first year down there, from what we understand.
Monmouth with its first victory of the season last week over a surprise St. Peter's team.
1st and 10 now. The ball on the Monroe 23. 7:45 remaining in the game.
Another player for East Brunswick is Nick Szymanski playing for Monmouth.
Shanafy again.
And you got Jaskowitz and Eric Francesco. And on the tackles there.
Well, if nothing else, this drive is consuming a lot of time.
Second and 8 from the 22. Kolheim rather keeps it. Flag is thrown.
And they're going to get an East Brunswick player on this one, I'm sure.
And John, as we hear the drums in the background, you and I were talking earlier about the band and how hard they work. I mean, they're out there at night on Saturdays and so forth. And Jim, at the Madison Central game, they had a lot of fun with the Madison Central band. Going back, I tell you, when you're in the stands, you pick up another sideline of the game that you don't get from up here. They played, I think the song was "When a Man Loves a Woman." They played it once. Madison Central played it back. They played it again, and Madison Central came back with it again. And the people in the stands were having a good time. So just another part of the festive afternoon that a lot of times we don't share with the audience.
That's a good point. It's a big part of high school football, that's for sure. East Brunswick moved back on a penalty. Will make it 2nd and 23 now from the Monroe 37. Kolheim is looking. He's looking deep. Shanaffy all by himself.
That's number 4, folks.
Yes, it is.
That's number 4 for Jim Shanaffy today, and he's having a
career day.
And let's check it out.
You see Kolheim down here to congratulate him.
Well, if you remember last year, Jim Varick had a similar day against Saraville, Phil. I think he racked up something like 340 yards of total offense. Shanaffy has been a major part of the offense today, obviously. And number 3 touchdown pass, as you mentioned, for Kolheim. This is a game to inflate the statistics for East Brunswick, because they had very little coming into this game.
McGowan makes it 34-16. With 6:30 remaining in the game.
And I tell you, all Jim Shanaffy has done is tied some legends here. Lynn Beleza scored 4 touchdowns versus Woodbridge in 1980, and Dave Kurzow scored 4 touchdowns versus New Brunswick in 1971. That went up to 1991. Has anyone done anything since then,
well,
Jim?
I think Varick last year duplicated that mark. So we have him in there.
Nevertheless, he's in pretty good company.
Very good company.
Well, Monroe lined up on the wrong side of the field.
That's called fatigue. Mental and physical fatigue.
Well, we talked about size, we talked about conditioning, going 2 ways, and it's all catching up now to Monroe.
And remember, Monroe jumped out to a 7-0 lead and actually was leading 7-6 before East Brunswick broke through in the second quarter. And it's been all them.
McGowan will tee it up.
Here we go with the
cheerleaders are getting the most
doing the push-ups
workout.
again. Red-faced.
McGowan gets it out. This is going to be Clayton. If he gets ahead of steam, watch out. And he's still going as he crosses the 30.
Gang tackling.
Gang tackling, and once again led by Dan Corio, number 9. And he's just a sophomore, I believe, also.
They even took the socks off Clayton. Look.
That's called a hard hit.
And the clock will start with 6:15 remaining.
Would you believe that Kolheim has tied the likes of Steve Hughes, 3 touchdown passes in the game? Brian Forte leads with 4 versus J.P. Stevens, 1987.
He'll want that ball back one more time. White from the shotgun. And he's going to be snowed under.
Snowed under. There's a lot of offensive line breakdowns for Monroe.
And Sean Daly, once again, just blowing in there, leveling it.
5:40 remaining.
Well, I've always maintained that there's quite a disparity between the level of play in the red division and the white division. There are some crossovers naturally. I think, Phil, you alluded to Bishop Bar being a quality program. I think they are, but every time the white division plays the red division in an interdivisional game, you get these types of contests.
And that's why we don't want South River in here.
Well, seriously, I could see Bishop Bar being the St. Joe's of football for East Brunswick.
Yeah.
I could see quite some battles.
Yeah.
White over the middle and almost caught.
And I tell you, White was leveled by Ken Molina.
Well, you know,
Molina comes into this game as one of the leading tacklers for
he has been tough.
the Bears.
Cyrenakis, number 85, was open. If White had somehow been able to reach him, he was gone.
3rd and 18, and it's going to put a lot of pressure on Mr. White now. Clock showing 5:02.
White, you can see that he, as a freshman, he lacks the arm strength, and he sort of tips a few people off as to where he's going to throw it because he has to wind up, so to speak. Doesn't have that quick release.
I'll tell you, I think the kids handled themselves quite well, though. Very cool under pressure. White now steps, throws deep, looking for Jackson. Jackson's got it.
I'll tell you.
And he's got a first down.
A little bumping there, which the official was going to disallow. Didn't make any difference anyway.
Right.
White comes up with a fine catch.
No, they keep this drive alive.
First down.
The reception brings the ball for the 45, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Falcons.
And I believe this is the most points that Monroe has put on the board this year. I know they were shut out by Colonia and Bishop Bar. No, I'm sorry, they did get 6 points against Bishop Bar. Jackson got off a long touchdown run.
Right.
But against South Brunswick last week, I think they were defeated something like 31-14. So they've notched 16 points, which I believe is their season high. And they're looking for more.
And we have a player down for Monroe. So that will stop the clock as he is attended to on the field. And you got to feel for these young men. They're tired.
Yes, they are. Good game next week, Phil. Next Friday night, Woodbridge comes to Saraville.
That should be a great game.
Yes.
That should be a real good game. Again, I didn't mean to denigrate Saraville, but the fact of the matter is they haven't played a real quality opponent up to this point in time, and Woodbridge certainly will be a test.
That will be the test.
Right. And that's number 64.
64, Otis Robinson.
Okay.
Not on the program.
Not in our book, but
Let's call him 65 here.
Maniscalco.
No, actually, he's probably the smaller one. He looks to be the 5'6", 175-pound sophomore, Steve Healy. Well, we apologize, but we're given a sheet with numbers, and usually these are faxed by the various schools midweek. And a lot of things can happen between then and now.
Especially when you're asking the kids what number they are.
Especially when you're asking Hugh Walsh. Huey has a little bit of a reputation of not returning phone calls. You wonder if Shanapee's going to get another shot. I guess not. This is probably going to be it for the first team offense.
I mean, you can't ask for much better than scoring 4 touchdowns on homecoming. I mean, you can take that with you and talk to your grandkids about that.
Here we go, White. 1st and 10. And they get it to Clayton.
Hey, look at that block by Jackson.
Look at Clayton go. He's taken out of bounds, but not before he picks up the first down and gets deep into East Brunswick territory.
That was Jackson out front with that very nice block that freed up Clayton.
I'll tell you, Phil, I'd like to get these 2 running backs behind a big line.
And just see what happens, really.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Really. Pressure being put on by number 88 for East Brunswick.
we talk about Woodbridge with those two running backs, with Sean Whitner and Robert Edmonds. Same type of situation here. They just don't have the blocking.
First and 10 for Monroe. The ball on the East Brunswick 39-yard line. 4:30 remaining in the game as Clayton went out of bounds to stop the clock. White fakes to Jackson, looks over the middle and throws it right to Abitosho.
Abitosho, you know, he has speed. And you see Holheim's up off the bench.
And there's a flag. There's a flag. Something happened a little late here. I don't know if this is unsportsmanlike or what.
Timmy A gets his interception. I think that's his first this year.
That's only the second interception for the Bears.
Well, regardless, it's after the play, so the interception has to stand.
It's a personal foul against Monroe.
Okay. So I think we're going to see Kilkenny, John. Or am I, let's see, number 7. Is that Richie Whale? Who's going to be the quarterback here?
Probably number 19, which is David Kilkenny.
Okay. Kilkenny did play a little bit, I believe, a couple of weeks ago.
And he also played some in the Madison game at the tailback spot.
Okay.
Actually, he's not going to be quarterbacking. Number 9 is, and we don't have a number on that individual.
Number 9 is Dan Corio, I believe. And Corio, I know of him from his younger brother, a Pop Warner player who's a fine ball player for St. Bart's.
So well, we're going to have a timeout here.
I think.
Well, there's a timeout. I think Marcus Borden has such a large cast of new players on the team. Out on the field, he's got to get them organized.
So who is it, Phil?
I believe it's Corio, Dan
Right.
Corio.
But Kilkenny is out there, though.
Yeah, Kilkenny's out on the field as well. This is one of those games where Kohlheim is saying, put me in, coach, put me back in one more time. These are the fun kind of games. But it'll be Corio, number 9 at quarterback. Sabatino on the carry.
And what do we know about Mr. Corio as far as his size is concerned? Because he is rather dwarfed out there.
Well, let's see what.
Shot by Norris. Probably North 15.
Clock running, 3:50 remaining.
It'll be 2nd and 7.
Try 5'4", 120 pounds, Jim.
Wow.
Second and 7. Corio keeps. Stays on his feet.
Wow.
Oh, loses
Ball
the
is
ball.
gone, and it'll go over to Monroe.
That
Okay.
was picked up by number 58 for the Falcons. That's Kyle Staffa.
I tell you, really can't fault Corio, showing some fine movement there, some fine speed, some fine footwork, and just trying to pick up some extra yardage there. Coming off the field a little dejected, but I don't think Marcus is going to fault him too much. He's going to tell him to put that ball away. That's exactly what he's telling him. And he was stripped.
.307, clock winding down. Bears on top, 34-16. Monroe will have it. First and 10 from their own 25, and East Brunswick calls a timeout.
Well, Jim, I have a scoop. And I don't scoop you too often, but we've been giving Mr. Corio a lot of credit today.
And it's not him.
And it's not Corio.
Okay.
It is Mr. Habib, who is back for the first time today.
Well, I'll be darned.
And so that is a scoop.
That definitely is.
And that's a good sign. Certainly glad to see him back. Coming in, showing good speed. We had said he was out earlier in the year and talked about it a little bit, but nevertheless, he is back, and that's got to be a big plus for the Bears. So again, once again,
2 p.m.
That is Habib.
Falcons have homecoming next week. And
Dave.
they will host the South Plainfield Tigers at Monroe at 1 o'clock.
Well, you know, it brings up a question as whether or not he's automatically takes over the quarterback job from Colheim.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think you saw what happened. They're gonna hold on to him in case they need him, but I think they got a good thing going with.
Right. Well, it certainly improves their backup situation. That's for sure.
White looking, puts it up.
Whoa. That was a floater.
White's pass is
Incomplete pass stops the clock with 2 minutes, 50 seconds remaining in the game.
Jason Stockton.
And with all this passing, now we're going to a hurry-up offense here.
Make it 2nd down and 10.
Why, I don't know. The clock stopped.
25.
White,
Look
a
out.
little center screen to Jackson.
Gets away.
Just short of the first down.
I'll
No,
tell
but
you.
he's going to be close. That was a 3rd down play. They're going to go for it, obviously.
Bringing up a 3rd down. With 4 and 1 from the 34.
Clock is going, 2:18 remaining. Jackson steps through,
Wow, first down.
gets the first down, short of the 40.
And he's had himself a full day today, Jim.
I bet you he's around 120 yards today.
At least.
Once again, he's limping, coming off the field.
I think he's more exhausted than anything else.
6 remaining. We are scheduled campus that should follow the directions and assistance of the East Brunswick Special Police. Thank you.
And Jackson can't even make it to the sidelines. They stop the clock. Finally, they help him off the field. And here we go. Minute 33. White rolls to his right, puts it up in the air, deep. Whalen has the interception.
Hey,
And he's got a line. Oh, boy, I'll tell you what. I was
Nice
watching a
play
line.
by
I'll
Whalen.
tell you, nice interception by Rich Whalen, showing nothing but hands there, going up and grabbing it, and hey, you got to look at him on the offensive end as a receiver.
A lot of turnovers today.
At the 32nd yard line, rather than 1st and 10 with 1:15 remaining.
Minute 11. Now I think the Bears could be able to run the clock out here, John.
Well, the clock is moving now. 34-16, Bears on top. They're going to go to their first victory of the season. Monroe will fall to 0-4. And a flag.
Delay of game.
Flag on the play. Delay of game.
And the Bears aren't in no hurry here, so certainly won't hurt much. But again, we want to reiterate, Dave Habib back in at quarterback. Nice to see the young fellow back. Certainly gives the Bears much needed depth at its most important position.
Habib keeps, steps up. And you can see he knows the offense well.
I'll tell you, yeah.
Flag, which stops the clock. Sometimes I just wish the officials would overlook plays like that.
Especially for us that have to travel distances.
I'll tell you.
Well, not for our benefit, but sometimes they just like to throw flags, just for the heck of it.
It'll be first down.
I don't literally mean that, by the way.
Sure you do. 38 seconds. Clock starts up again. So it was a big day for Craig Colheim and
Jeff Shanafy.
Jeff Shanafy,
4
especially.
touchdowns, Kohlheim with 3 touchdown passes. This is the biggest point production for East Brunswick since that season-ending game last year against Saraville.
Right. And that should do it, 10 seconds.
They get that all-important win on the board, first win.
And they go up against Perth Amboy. We mentioned that game next week at Perth Amboy. Perth Amboy are always tough in terms of the players.
And Amboy is another school that does not have lights, Phil. So that will be a day game.
Yes.
Saturday afternoon game.
So it's all over here from J. Doyle Stadium. The Bears on top, 34-16.
So you can take with this victory a good pat on the back for getting things done. They started out a little slowly, but once that offense got on track, and boy, I'll tell you what, you got to like the continuing development of Greg Kohlheim at quarterback.
Well, you're certainly right about that. He's just really developed into one of the finer quarterbacks we have around in such a short period of time. And again, with Dave Havid back, yeah, you were wondering, well, that gives them more versatility. Might they want to do something else to get Greg Kohlheim in and use his versatility elsewhere? I doubt it very seriously. If you're Marcus Borton, you certainly got to feel very good about this game. It's just the type of game that they wanted. A game where they could be explosive, put some points on the board. They felt good about themselves against Madison last week. They feel better about themselves this week against Monroe, and then Perth Amboy they should be ready to let everything out.
Well, East Brunswick travels on to Perth Amboy. We will not be with you for that game as East Brunswick gets into the meat of their schedule. We'll be back with you at the start of November when they come back home here at East Brunswick High School to take on North Brunswick. So until that time, for Phil Hill and Jim Allinder, I'm John Meggiolaro saying thanks for being with us.